Hello there. How are you? It's Linda Stacy of Living Blueprints, and today I'm going to be talking more about this research study that I commissioned and talking about a few things about what we do at work and how and why we take responsibility for the things that we do, and some suggestions around that, and then an opportunity at the end of this. So again, Linda Stacy, Living Blueprints. If you end up liking this content, I would love it if you would like and or subscribe to the channel on YouTube, like the video, and Facebook. So as mentioned before, I've done this study on barriers in the workplace, things that get in the way of effective workplace operations. And this particular question asks people to talk about a time or to reflect on a time that they were unable to be productive. And without getting into the specifics of what the actual options were for their answers, most of the respondents chose something that was outside of their control, which I think is a pretty human thing to do. We are all doing the best that we can, and generally it's a tendency to blame things outside of our own control as reasons why we're not able to be as effective. It's just so common to kind of cast the responsibility outward. But when it really comes down to awesome, like self-leadership, self-management, and ultimately what is underneath the better feelings of satisfaction and freedom in the workplace, it's all about taking responsibility wherever you can. The opportunity for growth in what we're able to do is constant. So all of us, while we might be doing the best we can always potentially do better. And it's part of what's being cool about being a human being. Doesn't also mean that we take breaks sometimes and that we have space and time for enjoying things. But if we're not growing, we're kind of dying and withering, right? So here's some suggestions around the workplace and getting things done and feeling like you have more ownership. One thing I think is really important is to be clear that on expectations. Are folks clear on the big picture as it relates to what their work is for? How long something will take? Are you discussing these things with your boss? If you don't know how long something is going to take, are you setting check-in dates? Are you just ensuring that, run everything like a pilot and see how it goes? Discuss what resourcefulness looks like within your team. My dad talks about an employee that he had back in the day where he would constantly be going to my dad, asking him things that he had asked many, many times before. And my dad, being who he is, kind of got into this. He ended up giving this particular employee a list of, have you tried all of these things before you come to me? And some employees are kind of like this. It's like you have a bunch of things available to you. Are you checking those things? One thing is about training. You probably were trained in something that you forgot about. You know, the statistics show that you retain about 10% of what you're given in training. And most training isn't set up with that in mind. We're not set up with the check-in points that are kind of necessary after the fact. Again, training often comes too early. And then there's no like, are we going back to this at any other time, having a check-in point? So what resources do folks have available to them, and are they using them to the best of their ability instead of constantly asking questions to the boss? Now, on the other hand, I think it's important to have open communication and be able to ask questions, right? But when are we over asking? Are there times, bosses, when you're not being clear enough? Are you having people repeat things back? Employees, are you going back and setting, action items for yourself? Are you reflecting back to the boss, okay, this is what I'm going to take action on? These are simple things that sometimes don't happen, but they just keep everyone on course and moving forward. And many people do these already, so these are kind of reminders for some of you. But I would say also for bosses, a simple question that you can ask of employees, I've talked about this before, is what do you need? I mean, it's very simple. Just put the onus on the employee a little bit to think about what would really help them be better and how they can be more resourceful. Employees, consider what would make you feel supported. Sometimes you just feel unsupported and you don't even know what those things would be if you were supported. So think about, what does support feel like in a work environment? Sometimes employees don't ask questions because they don't want to look dumb. Sometimes bosses, kind of make you feel dumb. I have this example of a managing director for the company that I work for. He's not there anymore, but he talks about a time when an associate asked him about the drink situation. Again, this is like, has nothing to do with work tasks, but you know, this is a company where you're expected to work really long hours. So the kitchen is stocked with beverages, all sorts of sodas and coffees and water flavors and all sorts of things like this. Well, the employee, who is probably 23, asked a question about a specific kind of drink that he would like to have in the kitchen. Well, the way that this managing director responded to him was just like totally like chastising. He's like, I challenge you to find one company within a 1 mile radius that has as many options. It's like, really? This kid is like 22, 23, and he has no idea. This is, you know, just an idea that he had for a beverage. You got all these other beverages. Why not have this beverage? But again, it's like this really? Like, why that, all this stuff that this managing director brought to that response? I mean, this is a simple thing, but there are so many times when employees ask questions and they're not, just, you know, as much as we can, try not to have that, oh my God, why are you asking that question type of look on your face. They are trying to, you know, better themselves and do the work and be a productive employee. This is a big issue in companies. But you know, what is your vibe? Are you open to having questions asked of you? And if people are constantly bombarding you and interrupting you, set up some kind of parameters around it. It's okay to have communication around when it's okay to ask questions and such. So these are just ideas for how employees can be more resourceful and how they can feel more supported. There are a lot of things you can do for yourself. And as bosses, there are just a few things you could do to help make it a little bit easier for your employees. So, you know, I said there was going to be an offer at the end of this. Next week, I'm going to do like an official webinar, and it's going to be Wednesday, December 16th at 1 p.m. I'm going to include a link to register to this webinar here, and it's going to be linked a bunch of other places, and I encourage people to share it with folks inside your environment. I'm going to be talking about things that people can do for themselves, resourcefulness for working people. Of course, it ends up reflecting and filtering into your life. There's no way to separate these things, but this is all around creating, it's a masterclass for creating more meaning, purpose in 2021, really about seizing time and recalibrating. And the theme is all around harness, honus, heighten. So did I say that right? Harness, hone, and heighten. And it's all around strategy, mindset, and also being prepared for the snafus, the things that are going to come up. You know, how do we just get our minds around that? So a lot about meaning and purpose and mindset and strategy. All of those things next Wednesday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So watch the link. Again, if you've enjoyed the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. And I hope you're having a great week. All right. Bye-bye.